Hey guys, this is Balu and today in this tutorial I will show how we can create this kind of CGI cloth unroll advertisement videos in Blender using FSpy application and also Geo Tracker easily. So hope you guys will find the video useful, and without any further delay, let's start today's video. So here I will be using this footage which I got from Pexels. Download link in the description if you want to use the same. So in order to use this in FSpy application, we need to have an image format of this footage. So I will move to the starting frame of this footage. So come to the starting frame. If you are using VLC player, go to this video options and click on this take a snapshot, or else you can use any other software to get a single frame image. Okay, so now let's import that image onto this FSpy application. So let's select it, drag and drop it onto this FSpy application. So basically this will set the perspective of our camera. So now come to this vanishing points here. Let's change this to z-axis. So this red lines are x-axis and this blue lines are z-axis. So now let's place the axis here. So let's select this x-axis, hold shift key to zoom in. So let's place this here. Now select this point and let's place this here, hold shift key to zoom in. So now select this, hold shift key to place it here. So now the x-axis is done. Now let's place this z-axis. Let's place this here and let's place the point here. Now let's select this point here and okay. So now we can see we got this x-axis and z-axis set. So now come to this 3D grid option and let's make it XY grid floor. So let's place the grid floor here. Okay, so whichever object we will be using in Blender, it will be placed on this plane. Okay, so now come to this file options and save it. So here I will save this with a random name, so I will give it as 777. Okay, so now we can close this one. So here I am using Blender 4.1 version. Now let's clear this default cube by pressing A on the keyboard and delete. So now let's import that FSpy data. So go to this file option, import, select this FSpy. And by the way, if you're not finding this option, means you haven't installed that add-on. So you can check a link in the description for a video, or else you can click on the iCard above for a video where I have explained on how to download and install that add-on. So once the installation is done, just click on this FSpy data. And now let's load the file. So come to this download. So this is the file what I have saved. So select it and import. So here you can see we got the file along with the background image. So now come to this camera options. So come to this background images, expand it. So here let's load our footage. So click on this movie clip and let's load our footage here, open. So here I got the footage, so select it and open clip. So we got the clip here. So opacity, I will change this to 1. So once this is done, now let's add our object here. So go to this add mesh, select a cube here. So this will be the object. So press S and increase the scaling. Let's place this here, press S and Z and increase the scaling in Z axis. So this is going to be the wall on which our cloth banner will be floating. Okay, so I think this is fine. So now once this is done, press N on the keyboard and select this Geo Tracker. Click on this create new Geo Tracker. So by default the geometry will be selected, the cube will be selected here, and in camera FSpy data will be selected, and here we need to load the footage once. So click on this folder and load the footage, load the clip here. So once the loading is done, you will get analyze option here. Here I am getting reanalyze because I have analyzed this footage already. So you will get analyze option, just click on that. So here you can see the frames of our footage is 1 to 376. So I will leave like that only and hit OK. And now click on this OK, and by the way, you might not get this warning message. Just click on this OK button. So it starts to analyze our footage from starting to end frame and ending to start from, like to end from motion. So here the analyzing is done. First of all, let me save the project here. So Ctrl S. So here the file is saved. So once this analyzing is done, come to this camera option. If you know the focal length, okay, or else you can click on this estimate focal length option and change this to camera option. Click on this start pin mode. So once this start pin mode is enabled, just click on this track forward button. So it's once again track the footage and gives us some camera tracking points. So here the tracking is done. Once the tracking is done, click on this exit pin mode. So now let's come to the starting frame, and if I play this now, you can see the object will follow the camera movements. So now our tracking portion is done. Now let's move on to this cloth simulation. So let's select this object, and so now let's move on to cloth simulation. So let's start this by adding a plane here. So go to this add mesh, select a plane here. So this is going to be the cloth. So I will place the plane here just above to the cube. So press 7 for top view. So here let's place the plane here, press S, X, and increase the scaling in X-axis like this, so that it matches the length of our cube. And also let's increase the scaling in Y-axis. So S, Y, and increase the scaling in Y-axis. So this is going to be the length of the banner. So I think this much is fine. Let's reduce a bit. So yeah, I think this is fine. Let's apply the scaling. So go to this object, apply scale. Now let's add loop cuts here. So press tab key for edit mode, or else you can change it from this here. So now press Ctrl R and add loop cuts here. So here I will add some 150 loop cuts. So at this corner you can see the number of loop cuts I am adding. So right now it is 67. So I will add 150 loop cuts here. So this is 150 loop cuts. Okay. Now again we need to add loop cuts in this manner. So Ctrl R and add loop cuts here. So basically we want to have square blocks here. So if I zoom in, you can see we got this square blocks. And by the way, if you're not using this manual method and if we subdivide, we will get rectangle blocks, which won't be good for cloth simulation. So for that reason, I have added this loop cuts manually. Now again press tab key for exiting this edit mode. So now let's add a spiral. So go to this add curve, select this curve spirals and select this arc median. And by the way, if you're not finding this option, go to this edit, preferences, come to this add-ons and look for extra, EXTRA, and enable this add curve option. Save the preferences. Now close it. Now go to this add curve spirals and select this arc median. So here we got the arc, right? So turns, I will make this as 5 turns, and radius growth I will increase this a bit, and radius I will reduce this here. So I think this much is fine. Yeah, I think this much is fine. And spiral direction, let it be clockwise. Okay. So once this is done, let's press tab key to exit this edit mode, and let's place the spiral here. Bring the spiral here. Rotate in Y-axis. Select this rotation tool, or else you can come to this properties and rotation minus 90. So now we got this spiral rotated. So let's place the spiral here. Now select this plane, come to this modifier options, add modifier, come to this deform and select this curve. So in curve object we need to select the spiral, and deform axis, it should be deformed in Y-axis, right? So let's select this minus Y-axis. So now you can see we got this mesh into spiral form. So let's select both these objects. Let's place this here. So now we need to have this edge portion at this point. So select this plane. So let's move it. So here you can see we are getting that edge portion, right? So let it be here, or else if you want to still make it another curve, you can make it, but it will be getting bigger in diameter. So I think I will leave it like this only. And by the way, if you want to delete these vertices, you can delete that one. So select this vertices, go to edit option, change this to edit mode, select this one vertex here, hold Ctrl key and plus, hit on plus icon to select the neighbor vertices, and let's delete them. So I think we need to still delete till here. So select this vertex, hold Ctrl key and click on plus icon, and let's select this till here. Now delete vertices. So now let's select this last vertex here, and let's move it here a bit. So I think let it be here. Now let's select this vertex, right click, subdivide. Now select this middle vertex here. Let's bring it a bit up, and okay, it's nice. Need to select this one. If you want to still further add subdivisions, select this vertex, right click, subdivide, and we can adjust the shape here. So I think the shape is fine. Now press tab key to exit this edit mode. Now let's apply cloth property onto this plane. So select the plane here, come to this physics property, add cloth, and now if I apply this, you can see the complete plane will be falling down. So now we need to make this plane attached to this position. So select the plane, press tab key for edit mode. Now select this last vertex here, so press 7 for top view, and let's select this last vertex here. Select all the vertices, come to this object data properties, click on this vertex group. Let's change this to pin and assign. That means we have assigned this vertex, all the vertices to this pin group. Okay, now again press tab key to exit this edit mode. After that, come to this physics property once again, come to the shape options, and in pin group we need to select the pins which we have created. Okay, so now if I play this, you can see this edge will be staying there only, and I think we need to select all this thing and press 7 for top view. Let's move this aside here. Okay, so now if I play this, so now you can see we got our cloth simulation, but it is not colliding with this cube. So select the cube, come to this physics property, add collision, and friction I will reduce this to 2 here, and inner thickness I will reduce to 0.1. So I think this is fine. And also select the plane, right click, shade smooth, and also we need to enable self collisions for this plane also. So come to this physics property, scroll down, and come to this collision options, enable this self collisions, and by the way, come to this catchy options. Here our footage is of 1 to 376 frame rate, so we want to have the simulation throughout the time length. So let's change this to 376 so that the simulation stays throughout the timeline. And also if you want to have this unroll animation bit fast, so first of all let me see. So now if I play this, you can see we got this unroll cloth banner animation. And by the way, if you want to have this bit fast, we need to increase the weight of the vertex. So vertex mass is 0.3, so I'll change this to 0.5. And now if I play this, it will be bit fast compared to 0.3 value. You can see we got our cloth simulation done. So now press 0. So I think I got this banner bit lengthy, so I will short this banner. So let's move on to this mode, press tab key, and I will reduce the length. So press 7 for top view. I think I will reduce this much of length. So I will select this vertex here, delete vertices. Okay, so now if I play this, you can see we got this cloth unroll, and I think the length is also fine. But here the spirals round has been reduced, so let's fix that. So select the plane and let's move this forward here. So I think, yeah, this much is fine. So these much spirals are enough. So let's play this once again. So we got the point here. So let's select both the objects and let's place them. So let's select both the objects and let's place this here, and so let's place this here. Now we need to delete some vertices here. So select this vertex group, press tab key, and again select this last one, Ctrl plus to select the vertices here. So I think we need to delete all these vertices. So only 3 turns are there. So let's select this one and delete the vertex here. Okay, so now I select this last vertex. Let's move this here a bit. Let's bring this close. Okay, nice. So now we got this cloth unroll animation done. Fine. Now if I press 0, we got exact length also. So now let's add banner images onto this cloth. So let's save the project once again. Before that, we need to bake the simulation. So scroll down and just click on this bake option. So here the bake is done, and if I see through camera and if I play this, you can see we got our cloth unroll banner animation done. Now let's add banner images onto this. So let's come to this material viewport here. So select the cloth here, come to this shading viewport. So being selected the cloth, click on this new button to add a shader. So now select this principal BSDF and press Ctrl plus T for node wrangler And by the way, if you're not enabled node wrangler, go to this edit, preferences, add-on, and look for node, NODE. Enable this node wrangler, save the preferences and close it. Now we can select any banner image. So I will select a banner image here. I will select this one. So select it and open. So now you can see we got that banner, but it is inverted. So now let's rotate this. So come to this rotation options in the node and let's change this to 180. Okay. And also it is bit stretchy. So come to the scale options and let's reduce the scaling here. So I think hold shift key for smooth apply of this value. Yeah, so I think this is fine. So here we will have one issue. So let me show you. So if I move to the starting frame, you can see this banner image at the front side and also the back side. Here I don't want the image to be visible at the back side. So here we need to add another image on the back side. So I will show you how to do that. So again, come to the shading option. So for that we need to delete this principal BSDF. So select this principal BSDF and delete it. So let's expand this one so that this is visible only. Okay, so I think this is fine. Now let's select these three nodes, shift D to duplicate it and place it here. Okay, now let's delete the image from this node. Okay, so this is the front side which we have applied that KFC banner, right? So in the back side we need to add another image. So in this I will load another image. So open. So from here I will load this image which is simply a color texture. So select that one and open image. Okay, so now we need to mix these both shaders. So for that we will be using a mix shader. So shift A and search for mix shader, select the mix shader here. So we got the shader, right? So this front image we need to add this above shader and this back image we need to add this in below shader. Okay, now connect this shader to the surface. Now we will have both the images, right? You can see we got the texture along with the banner. So now we need to separate them. So we can separate them by using a geometry node. So shift A, search as geometry. So select this geometry node. So here we got this back facing option, right? Just connect this to factor of this mix shader and done. You can see we got this on the front side, we got the banner on the front side, and we got another material or another texture on the back side. So in this way we can apply two different textures on the same plane. Okay, so now our thing is done. So let's move on to this render viewport here. So press 0 for camera view. Now let's move on to this render viewport. So here the scene is looking dark because there is no light in the scene. So let's say this. So now we need to load an HDR array. So come to this world properties, click on this yellow dot and select this environment texture. So here I will load an HDR array, open, select this HDR array and open image. Now you can see we got some lighting in the scene. And come to this render settings, enable this ambient occlusion, distance let it be 5 and enable the screen space reflections, refractions also, and come to this film options and make it transparent so that our footage is visible. And here I will be using cycles to render the scene out. So come to this render engine, change this to cycles and enable this GPU compute. And here we got the shadows already, but we need to make this cube as a shadow catcher. So select this cube, come to this object properties, scroll down, come to this visibility and enable this shadow catcher. So now you can see we got the shadows here. And now if I play this, we got our banner also. So if you want to rotate the shadows here you can see at the starting frame this is tilted right. If you want to rotate that one, come to the shading options. Here we need to rotate the HDR array for that. So let's change this to render viewport and here change this from object to world. So now here we got this world properties. So now in order to rotate this shadow we need to rotate the HDR array. So if I come to this render options and if I disable this film option here, you will be having a clear vision. So now select this HDR array, Ctrl T for the node wrangler, and now let's rotate this in Z axis. You can see we are getting the shadow straight. So let's add bit value here and that bit value. Okay, now you can see we got our shadow straight. So now let's disable or enable this transparent option and let's change to this layout and press, let's save the project. Okay, And by the way, if you want to enable motion blur, you can enable motion blur also. So enable motion blur. So once this is done, and you can see we got our banner ad visible properly. And now let's see how we can render this out. So for that, here I will be using cycles only, and render, come to this render settings. Here maximum samples, I will change this to 32. If your device can support large number, you can do that, and enable this denoise option. And noise threshold, I will give a large value like 0.2. So higher number, it will render bit fast. If your device is capable, you can leave it to default for better resolution. So here I will change this to 0.2. And if you want to enable motion blur, you can enable that. So I will enable this motion blur also. So once this is done, come to this output properties. So here the resolution is by default set to full HD. I will use this to full HD only. Enable this render to region and crop to region. And frame rate, we need to match according to the footage. So if I come to this footage option, and if I check the properties, so you can see if I check the properties here, it is of 25 frames. So I need to change the frame rate here. So I will change this to 25 frames. Okay. And frame range starting and end 12376 is fine. And output, I will select a folder where I can save the file. So let's select a folder. So here I have selected a folder where I can save the files. And file format, it should be PNG, let it be RGBA, and everything is fine. So once this is done, go to this render and click on this render animation. So this will render in PNG sequence. Once the sequence is done, go to this editing software. You can use After Effects or any other editing software and compose it to get the final shot. So in this way, we can create this kind of CGI cloth unroll banner ads in Blender using FSpy and Geo Tracker for tracking easily. So hope you guys have learned something new from this tutorial. If you have learned anything new, please like, share and subscribe my channel to support me. So I'll meet in the next video. Until then, signing off. Take care. Bye.